Korn and Requiem is our next record, leaving till third in the reviews. Man, arguably the first giant of the year, although not the most spoken about album of its release day as it happens. Venom Prison comfortably ran around it in that regard. But Korn are coming off a fantastic run of form, I think it's fair to say, that goes back, I would say, at least 2, if not 3 albums. There's, I think, a bit of a thing with Korn where every time an album comes out, people forget that the last one was good, and The Nothing is like the first time that hasn't happened. So fair play The Nothing, you broke the curse. But the paradigm shift, when Head came back, sort of greased the wheels for the burst in form they've had. The Serenity of Suffering, I think, has been the victim of what I just said, but that offered the most like set list bangers, like, you know, Insane, Rotting in Vain, the one with Corey Taylor, that they'd had in over a decade, which they put to good use on that arena tour with Limp Bizkit that year. And then The Nothing garnered the most critical respect and appreciation of anything they had done since they were the most influential band in the world. A lot of that, with The Nothing, came from the sense that Jonathan in particular was exercising some very fresh personal turmoil that garnered it a lot of comparisons to their debut self-titled record and made it quite a stark, nakedly honest record that made a mark on people. And so, as we look at Requiem, a shorter record, a record that has had less fanfare made around it and a lot less peripheral detail feeding into those first impressions of the record. The one aspect there really is that Fieldy has taken a break from the band to deal with some things, though his bass tracks are still on this record. You almost don't want Requiem to continue in the same vein as The Nothing, just in terms of the places people are in currently when they make art like this.
Yeah, I also like, because I think The Nothing is like the best modern Korn album by, like, I think the album's a really good job, but The Nothing is a step above. But it's not sustainable. You can't keep making art like that. It's not healthy for the creators. You would not want them to have to relive that trauma. So you need a release from that. And like, I think it's amazing that he could put that onto an album and make it such a great album. But I'm fine with this album not being that again, because it's just, it'd be hard for him.
Yeah, I was looking forward to them changing things up a bit. Like when I saw that this was 33 minutes and 9 songs, that was exciting, because I didn't really like The Nothing and Serenity of Suffering. I just thought they were a bit boring. I love Korn. I love Korn a lot, and I don't think those records are bad. Like they're like, when they're on, I have like a good, I don't know if it's a good time listening to The Nothing, but like I enjoy them when they're on. But to me, those 2 records, they just don't really like grab me in the way that like the Paradigm Shift did, or the 3 good songs from Path of Totality did.
That is fascinating. I was going to ask, like, what do you think between like Untouchables and Serenity of Suffering is better than those records?
Most of them. like
that is an individual take, mate, so fair enough.
See You on the Other Side, how good is that?
It's got some good songs on it.
But, Open Up.
Anyway, I'm interested to see what you think of this record then, because me and Sam, I think, more on the same page of coming off of like the 2 best Korn albums I'm on, like Serenity of Suffering and The Nothing. I would say comfortably the best since Untouchables. This record, again, wasn't expecting it to repeat the impact of The Nothing on a personal level. Start the Healing, I was a bit nonplussed with as a single, and I think it's decently reflective of the record. Before that sounds too damning, it's a pretty good song that has, fleshed out its place in my mind more with further listens, as is only natural. But it's Korn. It has some quite lightweight, poppy vocal lines on a kind of brighter, breezier version of like the standard, still quite dark Korn canvas, which for a song called Start the Healing, after The Nothing, adds up. Requiem, I found to be a quite undemanding listen, which was strange coming off the back of The Nothing.
For me, I think this album is, I don't want to say fine, I don't think that's too damning. I think it's pretty good, this album, because it's Korn by numbers, but with a kind of a radio rock sheen on it. And like, I'm fine with that on a lot of these songs. Like Forgotten as an opener, I think it's wicked. It's got it's got a killer opening riff. It's got that pull and release tension songwriting of quiet verse, explode on the chorus. It's got a really catchy chorus. That bow down shout, like, got a bit of punch to it. And I think the album kind of trades on a lot of this throughout, and it's kind of just condenses it down to 30 minutes, and it does the job. but it never wows me, is what I'd say.
Alec, as your position seems to be inverted from everyone else, is this your favourite Korn record in fucking a decade plus?
No. First two tracks, brilliant. Like Forgotten.
Let the Dark Do the Rest is wicked.
Or Let the Dog Do the Rest, as it sounded to my ears, but before I'd seen the track listing. But yeah, Let the Dark Do the Rest. That vocal that I won't ever forget it haunting and Let the Dark Do the Rest. That's almost like Jonathan like letting out that kind of like new romantic influence that he always bangs on. That he always bangs on about. But then at the end, it's got that "sick, you make me sick," like the proper like kind of guttural, almost like kind of death metal growl that he's kind of like built up and refined over the past like decade or something, which is so good when he does it live. He's actually gotten better. But after that, you get Start the Healing, which I kind of agree with you on, Perrin. I think it's good. But after that, I really struggle with this to actually remember a lot of it. Like, I like it while it's on, kind of like the last two. But nothing really sticks after those first three songs.
Yeah, I like, go back to Forgotten, that kind of Ray Luzier's stick clacking in the intro. He's always adding those kind of details that elevates Korn albums in a way that they are much better than so many of their immediate imitators from the ground up, like just through beats and stuff like that. And Ray Luzier has been a tremendous job in terms of, upping that kind of thing. And that's true here. Again, that bow down, it gets you moving. It's not the death metal guttural of, Cold, for example, from last time. But I think the point when the band approaches that slight bit of like doomy, menacing weight is on bits of Hopeless and Beaten. I also, again, the brutish, elastic, flexible but simplistic riffing simultaneously that Korn make their own, Let the Dark Do the Rest, as a really powerful one. The standard tricks that they pull here, they're fine. They sound good for a band on their 14th record, still operating in a totally unique sound that they have crafted for themselves that no one else can touch. And it doesn't quite go to the greater level on top of that most people seem to agree that their last couple of records have done. I think it is quite obviously helped by an admirable level of restraint in structuring. Like a 9-song album from Korn that gets, just over half an hour is not something I ever actually expected to see, because every Korn album ever has been double figures for its track listing. That's the kind of band they are. And when it comes to bands of their ilk aging, continue to put out records, normally you don't get precise little parcels. You get bloat and you get, I'd cut this song. And I don't know what's caused them to do that this time around, but there's perhaps a kind of, I guess, self-awareness in length going like, we've delivered these things across an album. It's not the most demanding record of our careers. We don't actually need to do any more this time and have overkill.
I think it is that. I think it is just a feeling of like, we just need to put out this. We've done our kind of like longer sort of records. Let's just cut loose and get back to basics a little bit and just kind of deliver, not bare bones, but a more like simplified take on Korn.
I get that kind of just that immediacy thing, because of their crop of bands, who has actually kind of made a classic no filler record, Faith No More, like that's it really in the past decade or something, right? Like
Limp Bizkit with Gold
Fuck off, right?
I love basically all of like We Are Not Your Kind, but like the point is they're making like hour-long records in terms of like, no, I can't think of another case of someone having this level of restraint apart from Limp Bizkit on Still Sucks, but half of that was rubbish.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, and I think it is a cool move for them to take, because again, 14 albums, I almost feel a bit sorry for Korn, because I feel like if they split up, maybe when Head left or something and then came back, they would just be headlining festivals in the UK. But yeah, I don't know, like it's not bad or anything, but I think a lot of the songs on here kind of get by on one, the Ray kind of just like drum work is like, it's always super interesting to listen to, and also Jonathan, just like whether he's doing like his kind of like the laughing bit in Lost in the Grandeur, or when he finally whips out the scat at the end.
I was so glad it was on the last track that he pulled out. I was like, yeah, there it is.
Yeah, because other than that, I don't know, like I love Korn's like the grooves and stuff, like the riffing is like super basic on a lot of it, but it is often just really catchy, and again, apart from those first few, with the riffing and stuff, I can't tell you like a single kind of thing that's happening there.
Well, yeah, the Nothing had uncomfortable moments, and this one, you can't really demand it. Like, and it doesn't feel like the rage is really powering this one. Instead, it feels, I find it to be quite warm, even at times, for what Korn do. Like, there are quite bright major key melodies. Even you mentioned that one in Let the Dark Do the Rest, which is a real contrast to the rest of the song. Even the verse riff in Lost in the Grandeur has like some more full like guitar chords instead of just the lowest bit of a 7-string or like spooky high-end lines. There was that mental drop moment on one of the songs on the Nothing with Jonathan crying out, "God is making fun of me," and it felt so palpable. Here, that has changed to "Don't feel bad for me, don't feel sad for me," and the delivery has morphed with it to support that kind of sentiment, which is a slightly bizarre thing to go with. It's cool for their development. I guess it's not going to just gut hit you in the same way that Korn at their most impactful have done.
I think that's something if this album had come after like any of the albums before the Nothing, I think I'd maybe be a bit more open to it, because it's not coming off the back of that emotional like devastating gut punch that is the Nothing. But again, it feels, I guess it is a necessary move after that. But it's like, yeah, I don't know, it does the job. This, I was like, I wasn't like ever bothered, like bored, like found myself not liking any of the songs here. But it just kind of like, it's in and out.
Yeah, I like the chorus on the one that goes like, "Help me find my way." That kind of slightly gothier, dreamy energy that the Nothing did have at times. Disconnect has some of that as well, and the kind of descending, quite melodic again, full guitar riff, which to me, that kind of guitar playing registers more in like goth doom and that kind of shit. There are subtle differences here that are, they're not just so fully baked into the 25-year plus Korn template. There's a full like ooh kind of backing vocal choir in the Hopeless and Beaten bridge, which is really out there. And so what you basically have is a relatively comfortable, solid, short Korn record with a few minimal touches of extra garnish. There are, some average songs in the home stretch that you'll likely not think about ever again until he starts going ooh, ah, ooh at the end, and a lower ceiling of the highest highs. There's no real eternal setlist banger here for my money, which even some of the less consistent Korn records in the kind of 2000s and early 2010s had, which makes it's deceptively hard to judge this for a 14th Korn album, because it's a good level for them. They're proficient. No one can do what they do better, and it does sound like a bit of an emotional recovery record from the lows of Last Time Out, but it is the first Korn album in a little while that's sort of brushed past us all, and we're not necessarily in too much of a rush to revisit.
It is really cool and commendable, though, that they are like 14 albums in, still throwing in little new things, like that bit you're talking about on Hopeless and Beaten. That Hopeless and fucking Beaten, like that chorus, it almost sounds like a kind of like sludge metal like chorus or something. It's really, again, like not something I've really heard from Korn before. And I don't want to like say this is crap or anything, because it's not. And it's like, it's really nice that Jonathan seems to be happy, even though there's a song called Hopeless and Beaten on it. But yeah, like I think that there's, if you love Korn, like there's enough on it to sate you, I guess. But I don't know. I think it all just come back to what I love about Korn is just like how memorable those really simple grooves are, and a lot of it just isn't there for me.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's got maybe like 2 songs that I think I would like be like drop them in the live set and the good. I mean, again, 14 albums in, I'll take Korn still being decent at that point. I think like there are a lot of other bands who wouldn't even be holding to this sort of level that we're holding Korn to on this, of kind of like, there are bands where if band turned up with an album like this, we'd be like, oh, it's really good to see they're still good. So I guess that's sort of a fair thing for Korn to be like, we're still holding them to a higher standard.
Yeah,
I agree with all of that. That's Korn and Requiem.